you know, very small, slight figure, 5'3", but incredibly powerful. And the reason why is because he had this absolute faith in the holy names, which is where we started and where I'm going to stop. So thank you all very much. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Thank you very much, Harry Serprabhu. The jacket to the first 3 volumes of First Canto, did Prabhupada design that also, the cover jackets?
Yes, the design of the cover jacket on the first canto, the original Indian print, because it shows Goloka Vrindavan and then all the planets.
Yeah.
That was Prabhupada's inspiration, and he had some local artist painted according to his direction. But he was very... his original idea was that every volume would have the same cover. But when they actually started getting into proper production in America, the BBT devotees explained that if they all look the same, it would be more difficult to sell them. We should distinguish at least each canto from each other. So they came, in '76 actually, they came up with this colour-coded, you know, 12 cantos, a different colour for each canto. So they showed that to Prabhupada, like on a card, and then Prabhupada agreed, but he said, but this is it, this is the last change. No other changes are allowed. So at least the first canto still carries his original cover, but he conceded that, you know, to have all of the volumes in the same cover, you know, it'll be a little bit inhibitive of the sales.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, please.
You had mentioned that Prabhupada knew exactly the kind of culture he was going into, the atheistic, medium, molecular cultures. But I also have to wonder, how much could Prabhupada understand that he was going into a counterculture experience also? Did he know that? Did he ever recognize that the timing of his coming into the counterculture created, as what Harigreva called the Hare Krishna explosion, so that the timing was also important, created by Krishna?
Well, it's a good point. Was Prabhupada aware that he was coming into a counterculture in the Malecha Yavana culture? Because he was certainly aware in general, you know, of what people were like, or the philosophy that people had. I mean, you know, that's in all the newspapers and magazines, and Prabhupada obviously had seen pictures of America and what have you. But when he got there, of course, to actually deal with Americans, that was a whole new experience. He said sometimes he would, because when he was first in New York, he was on his own, so he would go walking around. He said, I was simply loitering. And he said, sometimes I would get on a bus just to see where it went. He'd sit on the bus and it would go to the terminus and then come back, and Prabhupada would watch and observe the American people. So he was learning, you know, more about the culture and what have you. And of course, in '65, that counterculture was only just starting to emerge.
Right.
You know?
My point is, timing was perfect, arranged by Krishna.
Yes.
But did Prabhupada, in any conversation, kind of like...
Well, Prabhupada indicate that he knew about the timing, because, you know, the timing obviously was perfect. Sometimes you hear him say that I was surprised, I never expected, you know, such a response, so many people would take it up. You know, he was genuinely surprised by that. But at other times, for instance, myself and Rameshwara, were with Prabhupada on the train from Allahabad to Calcutta in 1977, in January. We'd just been at the Kumbh Mela for 4 or 5 days, and then we travelled overnight to Calcutta. So Prabhupada and Rameshwara stayed up all night. I went to sleep at one point because I had my services to do, but they stayed up all night. Rameshwara was just full of questions. And so Prabhupada said at one point, he said, history will mark this time when the Hare Krishna movement saved the world. He said historians will mark this moment as the time when the Hare Krishna movement saved the world. So I'm sure that Prabhupada had realizations, you know, other than, as he says, on one side he was surprised to get so many people to follow. He was thinking when he first arrived in America that when I tell people, all right, you know, no meat eating, no this. He said these things. He said they'll all say go away, go back to India. So he said I was actually surprised that some of them took it up. So there's that side of it, but then the other side was he had a perspective on what he was doing, and it definitely, you know, there was this sense that the world was going to change because of the Hare Krishna movement. And that means that Krishna had decided that now is the time, you know, when he makes his appearance through this devotee. So, does that answer your question?
I'm just asking, in your association with Prabhupada, did he ever mention the timing aspect? That he walked into the perfect timing. In other words, a few years earlier or a few years later, maybe it would have been different. He went to San Francisco, and that summer was a summer of love.
Yeah.
So it was like the timing was absolutely perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Prabhupada just went with the flow.
But my question is, did he say anything about that time?
Well, I don't recall him talking specifically about, you know, that point in time as being very special. But at the same time, he was aware of the fact that we were recognizing it was a special time. It was a perfect timing. You've got Allen Ginsberg, right, on the original film biography, saying that Prabhupada's timing was perfect. He came just when there was a need, and he went to the right place, the Lower East Side, not the Midtown or Uptown yogis were doing. He went to the right place, he went there at the right time, and he got his reaction. So Prabhupada was aware that other people were saying that, and I'm sure he agreed with it, but I don't personally recall hearing him tell me that, except that comment on the train.
Is it recorded, that conversation?
Did I record that conversation? No, I don't think I did actually. We were on a train, we'd been in Allahabad at the Kumbh Mela for 5 days. I think the batteries had run out on the recorder. Yeah. And in the middle of the night anyway, as I say, I went to sleep because I heard that comment myself, but I went to sleep because I had my duties to do when we arrived in Calcutta.
Yes, yes.
But Prabhupada, you know, was used to staying up all night, and Rameshwara was taking advantage of the 3 weeks that he had as Prabhupada's visiting secretary to squeeze as much nectar as he could out of it. All right, so we're going to finish now. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.